Welcome to Across the Goal Line, a sports podcast brought to you by Die Hard fans. Corey Maines, Luke Gossard, and today we're going to talk about the NBA All-Star Weekend is coming up here this weekend. So we're going to get into the previewing what's going to be happening this All-Star Weekend. Also, I'm going to get into where things stands in the standings right now as well. So that's where we're going to start with the standings.
We did that a little bit back in December. We talked about how the season was going so far, but we really haven't talked about it since.
No, we were well past halfway, about a third of the way left of the season now. Which is kind of, I feel like it's kind of strange that the All-Star game is like 2/3 of the way into the season instead of like halfway. It's kind of a weird thing, but it's not really a big deal.
It's always been in the middle of February as long as I can remember. I actually thought it was last weekend, and Corey had to remind me it was this upcoming weekend because we were going to talk. I had it to talk about last week, and because I always knew it was the second weekend of February, and now recently they've been pushing it back to the third weekend of February. So it's this upcoming weekend, as you said. So
this whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, with the All-Star game itself on Sunday, February 19th, in New Orleans this year.
Actually, was supposed to be in Charlotte.
Yes, and then all the LGBT stuff that North Carolina doesn't go with, I guess. They kind of a little bit of a controversy, a little bit of didn't sit well with the NBA, so they had to move it to New Orleans. But I mean, I'm sure New Orleans is going to be happy because one of their players is in the All-Star game, starting Anthony Davis. We'll get into the All-Star lineups later, but first, I wanted to kind of see where the season's sitting at. Teams that are in the playoffs right now, because the playoffs are going to be before you know it, of course.
Yeah, middle of April, and we'll be talking about that here coming up shortly too.
Yeah, so out of the East looked pretty much similar team-wise from last season, I would have to say. Even the matchups a little bit too, but the Cavaliers leading the way in defense, 38-16. They had a little bit of a rough patch there at one point.
They did. They were. They had one win in 10 games or 10 days.
Something like that.
Something like that. It was actually just a couple weeks ago. I don't know why I'm having trouble remembering it, but they did have a rough patch, and now it might even get worse, even though they started winning a little bit, because with Kevin Love diagnosed with a knee injury yesterday, he's going to be out for 6 weeks, at least 6 weeks. They said he could come back before that if the rehab goes well, or he could be out even longer if something major comes up in the surgery, or if the rehab doesn't go well. But he's just getting a scope on his knee. It's just a regular surgery. I don't see anything major that he should be out longer than 6 weeks. But we'll have to see about that. But if he doesn't come back, the Cavs, they still might represent the East in the finals, but we'll have to see. But you also have the trade deadline coming up. They might deal him. They might keep him and still deal some other players to try to make a better run than what they did last year. Now, are the Cavs better this year than what they were last year? I don't think so. They've been, as you said, that rough patch, but it's only halfway through the season. So we still got another 2 months before the playoffs start. So anything can happen.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they might be a little bit worse, especially now. No Kevin Love. Also, J.R. Smith has been out a lot. He's a big, I'd have to say, a big spark plug in that offense, because if he can get hot, then no one can guard that guy, because he'll just shoot him up and they're going in no matter what. So missing him really hurts as well. I think that's part of the reason. Also, when they traded for Kyle Korver there, or getting gone from the Hawks, that's kind of when that rough patch kind of started. And maybe a little bit of a chemistry issue, trying to get him into the lineup.
More than likely, I think I can agree with that on you, with that, just because Korver, he's played for how many teams? And then, he was with Atlanta for a while, and then he gets traded again, and he's playing with LeBron James, probably the best player right now. As you said, chemistry, it took them some time, but I think they figured it out. Yeah,
with any trades or any big acquisitions, you got to get that little bit of a period where you have to get all on the same page, get used to everybody in the locker room and on the court.
And I'm sure they're probably happy it happened to them now rather than later in the season.
Yeah, I'm sure this All-Star break is a good thing for them. Granted, Kevin Love's going to be out for 6 weeks. He's not going to come back over the All-Star break.
Maybe Korver's a guy that can step up and replace Kevin Love in the time period that he's going to be gone, because they're both good three-point shooters. Korver's more of a three-point shooter than he is an overall player. Kevin Love can do pretty much everything. Remember when he was up in Minnesota, he had double-doubles every single night. I remember, I think I was in 7th or 8th grade. I remember reading he had a 30-20 game, which was just uncommon at the time. I mean, some players have done it since, but whenever he did it, it was the first time in like 40 to 50 years that somebody had done that, going back to like George Mikan. So maybe Korver can step up and replace Kevin Love.
Yeah, maybe he can make some contributions. Second in the East now is the Celtics, who are 36-19. Pretty surprising how high they are right there. They're really being carried by Isaiah Thomas, I'd have to say. He dominates in the fourth quarter all the time. It seems like he's putting up 20-plus points now for however many games. Almost a franchise record, if not past it by now. Last time I saw, he was only a game shy of a franchise record for consecutive 20-point games.
I'm not sure about that.
But it was really close.
I'd have to look into that. I don't know about that.
Yeah, but he's a guy that
could be.
He's up there in the averages of scoring, league leaders-wise.
Yeah, I mean, why not throw his name in the MVP conversation?
Well, it's probably because he doesn't do enough otherwise, besides scoring, it seems like, than other guys like James Harden and Russell Westbrook. Yeah. They have the better stats, obviously.
But, I mean, would you rather have one player do that, or would you rather have the whole team do that and make a better run in the playoffs? I think Boston has a better chance than both Oklahoma City and Houston right now. But they do play in the East rather than the West. The West is harder than the East in the playoffs. So, well, in general, during the season, just because you got all those teams fighting for those spots. You got the same thing in the East, but the East is a little bit easier.
Yeah. Third is the Wizards. They are 35-21. They went on a little winning streak there. They haven't lost. Yeah. They didn't lose at home for the longest time. It seemed like they just blew out the Oklahoma City Thunder just a couple nights ago. Yeah. Actually, I think it was Monday night even.
Yeah, it was Monday night in Oklahoma City. They missed like 24 straight shots.
It was 24 straight. They didn't have a really good game, but
that's ridiculous.
The Wizards, they climb up all the way in third. I think the last time we did this, they were really low, not even in the playoff hunt at all. Really, when we first did this back in December or whatever, they were not even in the top 8 at the time. So. They really turned it around here.
I know right before this run, they were sitting at the 4-5 spot, and that spot in either the East or the West in the playoffs is tough because you're either getting a home game, home court for the first round, or you're gonna have to play on the road. And then if you get the 5 seed, you're gonna have to go play on the road again. 4 seed, you might get another home series. But with them winning, moving up to the 3 spot, it's even better because then they'll play the 6, and then they'll more than likely they could play the 7 then if the 7 beats the 2. But if the 2 beats the 7, they got to go whoever's 2, which would be Boston at this moment.
Yeah, and then you have the Hawks. They're at 4th in the East right now, 32-23. Remaining consistent despite losing Jeff Teague and Al Horford in free agency this season, trading away Kyle Korver. They're still sitting there right now. Yeah. Paul Millsap and Dennis Schroeder stepped up a lot here this season.
Yeah, Schroeder, I mean, a good friend of ours, Derek Wren, who was on the show, he had high praise for him when he was coming into the NBA a couple years ago. And so this guy, he could be, the face of the Hawks in a couple years, and, hell, it's turning out to be that way. Because they lost a couple guys in free agency, as you said. They traded Korver, with injuries. He stepped up a lot, and reason why the Hawks are at the 4th spot right now.
Yeah, and that 5th spot is a team that's on the opposite end. We had the Wizards climbing up. The Raptors are just going down. They haven't won too many games here lately. They're still at 32-24. They were there near the top there, maybe even dethroning the Cavaliers at this top seed in the East. They actually made a trade here yesterday that I think might help them a lot.
Yes, I agree with you on that.
They got Serge Ibaka from the Magic, trading away Terrence Ross to get him, and probably some other stuff. I ain't reading into the details of the trade fully.
I believe a first-round pick was involved.
More than likely a draft pick that typically is. But I like that move. Now they have 4 really good guys. Yeah. Actually, a whole 5 squad guys starting lineup. You got Lowry and DeRozan. Great guards right there. DeMar Carroll is a good two-way player, I have to say. Then you got Ibaka, who can really stretch the floor at the 4, and then Valanciunas down low in the 5.
Yeah, Ibaka, he's good on defense as well.
Yeah, he's good at protecting that rim.
So, which is going to help him make the other team not score as much. And then going back to the Hawks, too, real quick before I forget. They're at this 4th spot right now. They're more than likely going to lose in the first round playoffs. It seems like they always do. But who knows? They could move up and get a good first round series against the 6 or 7 team. If they move up to 2 or 3, and Boston or Washington stumbles, they could win. But Atlanta, they haven't been good since they had who played for the Hawks. I'm having trouble.
What? Dominique Wilkins?
Yeah, Wilkins. They haven't been good since they had him. So Atlanta Hawks fans, don't get your hopes up too much.
Yeah, no, but I like that trade for both teams, even the Magic, because you think about it, they got Biyombo in free agency, who was in Toronto, ironically almost.
Now with Orlando, Ibaka, they only had him for 3 months.
Yeah,
they traded for him back early this summer after. It was before Kevin Durant left to go to Golden State.
It was the night of the draft.
Yeah,
traded away Domantas Sabonis to the Thunder and Oladipo.
And Oladipo, a lot of people thought he could have been the face of the franchise, but they decided to trade him. One of Frank Vogel's first moves as new head coach, and now a lot of people are saying why they traded Serge is because of Frank Vogel. Those two weren't getting along, so they trade him to Toronto. And now Terrence Ross, I think he's going to be taking over Oladipo's role. And Orlando, they could be a force to be reckoned with if Vogel can do what he did with the Pacers down in Orlando.
I mean, definitely they can. They have all that young talent they've been gathering here, like Aaron Gordon, Hazonia.
Who's in the dunk contest as well.
Aaron Gordon returning to the dunk contest as well. Speaking of the Pacers and Frank Vogel's past team, they're in the 6th spot at 29-26. Solid, I guess. I haven't...
it's above 500.
Yeah, not much to write home about for the Pacers right now. They haven't done anything too special, I don't think. They're doing pretty well with the new acquisition of Jeff Teague over the offseason, it seems like. I would expected more out of them, honestly, but where they are right now, they still got a while to go. Maybe they can get up in there a little bit higher in the rankings. Bulls, 27-29 in the 7th slot. They're not looking very good despite the talent that they got. They also had kind of a little bit of a story going on there with Butler and Wade, the veterans of the team, and the young guys on the Bulls kind of criticizing them and their work ethic almost. Even Rajon Rondo criticizing him as well, going on Twitter and talking about Garnett and Pierce when he played in Boston, what they did.
You don't do that type of stuff.
As kind of like an example of what they should be doing almost. Kind of a shot at Wade and Butler. But the Bulls, way lower than I think a lot of people probably would have thought.
Yeah, I think
given this talent that they have,
I think a lot of people would have thought, Chicago right now would be in that 2 or 3 spot, maybe 4 spot. With all the talent that they have now. Jimmy Butler, a lot of people thought they were going to trade him to Minnesota around draft time because Tom Thibodeau is a new head coach up in Minneapolis now. With all that young talent as well. With Andrew Wiggins and I believe Tyus Jones is still up there from Duke, but. Chicago, Dwayne Wade and Rondo, they know what they're doing. They just everybody's got to get their act together. They both won championships. D. Wade's won more than one. Obviously in Miami, he won one with Shaq, and then he won 2 with LeBron. And Chris Bosh, who seems like he fell off the face of the earth, but he's had health problems. But Chicago, they just got to get their act together, and they could make a run. Make a run late because they got experience. I know they got a young head coach, but he also has experience. He coached at Iowa State for how long, and he led them to tournament appearances in March Madness. So the Chicago Bulls will be fine. All
right, and then in that last spot in the East, it's the Detroit Pistons who. In that 8th spot, it can be anyone's at this point. They're 26-30, 4 games under 500. The Heat have been playing really well lately, I know, but they started off really poorly, so that hasn't really helped them out too much in the rankings and the standings.
The Heat are going back to what they were right before LeBron and right after Shaq and D. Wade were done. That time period from 2007 to 2010, they were all awful. I believe 2010 they did make the playoffs. They lost in the first round, but then they got LeBron and Chris Bosh to join D. Wade and have the big 3, and they obviously went to 4 straight finals. The Pistons, they're always at that 8 spot, and as you said, anybody could really make this 8 spot. You got the New York Knicks, They might deal Melo. If they keep Melo, I think they can make a run. If they deal him, obviously they're done. Phil Jackson's given up. Unless they get somebody good in return, more than likely that's a sign of we're canning our season. If you're trading away your star player to get stuff, to get picks, players for the future, you see it all the time in any sport. So the Knicks, they could make a run for that 8th spot. Hell, if they get hot, I mean, a couple years ago, you remember Jeremy Lin played for them. They had Linsanity. They're on the outside looking in, and they made a run in the playoffs. Maybe somebody on the Knicks right now that no one knows about. Going back 5 years to Jeremy Lin can step up, and the Knicks can make a run.
Yeah, possibly. Who knows? But then out west, you got the Warriors right on top. So you got the two teams that have played each other the last 2 finals, sitting at the top of their conferences.
As I said, I predicted a rematch in this year's finals. I don't remember what you had. Did you have a rematch?
No, I did not. I had Pacers Clippers.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that can always change. But
it could.
But the Warriors 46-9 this season. They just had a pretty bad loss to the Nuggets though here, just a couple nights. Monday night actually. Yeah, very bad loss.
Steph Curry didn't even hit a 3.
That, and they didn't play any real defense on the Nuggets either. Nikola Jokic, he's playing great. He had a triple-double in that game, 17, 21, and 11.
And now the Warriors have 9 losses on, what's today, February 15th. Hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day yesterday. They have 9 losses today. They didn't have 9 losses until the middle of April, right before the playoffs started last year. Now, bringing in Kevin Durant, going back to talking about chemistry, I think they should have it figured out by now because Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson are all-star players. But, maybe this tough loss, this bad loss to the Nuggets the other night, and with the all-star break coming up, they're going to have a little time to rest. The Warriors, maybe they can, win out and finish at, maybe they'll obviously probably lose a couple more games, but maybe they're still going to get the number 1 seed in the West, long story short.
Well, only 4 games behind them are the San Antonio Spurs, 42-13. They're the team that no one ever seems to talk about. They're always good.
Shout out to Andy Brown. He's a lifelong San Antonio Spurs fan.
The Spurs always are under the radar, it seems, yet they're always in the playoffs. They're always near the top. They're always having win a season.
20 straight.
20 straight now. Kawhi Leonard.
That's the NBA record.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard has really stepped up offensively this season, I would have to say. He is averaging more points than he has any other season. He's a guy that seems like he keeps getting better scoring-wise each season, it seems like, while maintaining such a good defensive presence.
And he was actually drafted by the Indiana Pacers, and they traded him on draft night to San Antonio, and he's turned into their next franchise player, because, you still got Manu and Tony Parker. But with Tim Duncan retiring, Duncan was the face of the franchise. Kawhi now takes over that role, in my opinion, also of yours. And, the Spurs, they're going to be at the top of the West and the top of the NBA for years to come, just as they've been for the past 20 years. As long as Greg Popovich is still their head coach, they're going to be all right.
Yeah. And that 3 slot is a pretty surprising team, I have to say. The Rockets, 40-17. It's surprising to me. I wouldn't expect. It's not surprising that they're here. It's just surprising how high they are in these standings. In 3rd, I would have to say, considering I thought that D'Antoni being the coach would be a bad thing for the Rockets, but it seems like it's working. I don't know how much of that is just because James Harden is playing so great and carrying the team. It seems like on his back, putting down triple doubles and scoring like 40 points and stuff. I don't know how much of it is that more than D'Antoni coaching, but it seems like he's doing something in Houston, and it's working right now.
I agree with everything you just said. So, with the Rockets at the 3, they're normally either at the top of the West or the bottom of the West. It seems like, I think last year they came in at the 8th spot.
Yeah, they played the Warriors in the first round.
And now, I believe the year before that they were like the 2 or the 3, where they're at now. But it's only the All-Star break. It's only halfway through the season, or 3/4 of the way through the season. Still got 2 months left. Anything can happen. They could slide. You look at the Raptors. They were real high there at the beginning of the season, and now they're at the 5 spot, 6 spot.
5.
So in the East, I think the Rockets and the Raptors have a lot in common for how they both play, and because they really don't have. I mean, Houston has that one-star player in Harden, but with Toronto making this move now, trading Terrence Ross to get Ibaka. I know they still have Kyle Lowry. Plays for the fucking.
Yeah, Kyle Lowry's on there.
Who am I thinking of?
You're probably thinking
Damian. I'm thinking of Damian Lillard.
Oh, Lillard
for the Portland Trailblazers. I get those two mixed up. I don't know why. So I think they have a lot in common. They have that one-star player, but after that, they really don't. Everything like just dies down. Like they really don't have that second player that can help that star player win games night in and night out. As you said, Harden seems like he has to do everything himself. So, I don't have anything else to say about the Rockets because I agree with what you said.
All right. The Clippers then are in 4th, 34-21. They're another team. They were really, really hot at the beginning of the season. They were in the top in the West there for a little bit. Kind of slid. Injuries hit him again. Chris Paul's injured now. Blake Griffin was injured there for a little bit. They have the injury bug, it seems like.
And then DeAndre Jordan. I mean, the Clippers could win more games if he could hit free throws, but it seems like he can't.
Or do anything offensively except 2 feet from the bucket, of course.
And he's in the dunk contest Saturday night. First time in a while, it seems like there's a star player in the dunk contest. Going back to say
I wouldn't call him a superstar.
Well,
player, though.
No, not a superstar, a star player since like Dwight Howard when he played for the Magic, and him and Nate Robinson went back and forth there for a couple years.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Clippers injury bug. It seems like every year.
Yeah.
As you said, so yeah, we'll have to see if they can do something there in the second half.
Yeah, they are a team that when all their pieces are healthy and working together, they are a tough team to beat.
Yeah.
Because they have all the talent in the world.
Yeah, hell, 2 years ago when the Warriors made I believe it was 2 years ago when the Warriors made a run to go to the finals and they won. The Clippers almost beat them in the playoffs, and they were a couple shots shy of doing that. And the Clippers, I mean, a lot of people will say because they're based in LA, the NBA will have them go to the Western Conference Final. If I can talk, Western Conference Finals, because of the LA exposure, the market and whatnot, over say like a team like Memphis or Portland, because Memphis and Portland are not big. I mean, they're big cities, but they're not as a big city as LA or say San Francisco with Golden State or with Houston and the Rockets. So the Clippers, we'll have to see what they can do.
Yeah. Now, I think the biggest surprise in the entire of these 16 teams here is definitely the Utah Jazz being 5th in the West right now, 34-22. They're a team that were just on the cusp of making the playoffs last season, missed out by, I think, the last game of the season. They were battling with the Mavericks, I do believe, for that 8th spot last season, or I guess the Rockets as well. The Rockets were the 8th seed, actually. They were battling with those 3 teams, other 2 teams, to be in the 8th spot, and they couldn't do it. So here they are, 34-22. Absolutely amazing, I would have to say. They're a team that doesn't really have a star player like we talk about. Gordon Hayward's the closest thing they got. And
he was good at Butler.
And he's not exactly a guy that the NBA is like promoting to people or anything. He's not superstar. And big shoe contracts, big endorsements and stuff.
And I mean, a reason behind that could be. I mean, I don't want to be racist, but it seems like everybody that has those big contracts, those big endorsement deals, they're African American. When was the last time you saw a white NBA player with those big endorsement deals being the face of the franchise, as a star player? Utah is another team. They really haven't been good since they had John Stockton, and they're one of those teams as well. They're not in a big city, as compared to LA, Houston, Golden State. I'll throw those 3 out there again. Hell, even Miami and New York and Chicago. So, or really, I mean, they are somewhat of a historic franchise. I mean, most all these franchises are, except for the ones that really haven't done anything since they've been in the league, like winning championships, because that's what people remember. People don't remember teams losing championships. People remember, how many titles the Celtics have, how many titles the Lakers have, in basketball, how many titles the Yankees have in baseball. I mean, I'm surprised Utah really hasn't traded Gordon Hayward, to get, because he's been on the team for what, it seems like 6 years, I think 6, 7 years.
He's been in the league.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually surprised they haven't traded him to, get something in return and build on that. But if they think they can build on him, more power to him.
Yeah. And in the 6th spot is the Grizzlies at 34-23, and they're a team that, if the playoffs were today, I feel like would give the Houston Rockets, who are the 3, a very big problem, because they're pretty much the polar opposite of the Houston Rockets almost.
Yeah.
Whereas the Rockets are very offensive, the Grizzlies like that grit and grind and the defensive side of things down there in Memphis.
Yeah. Well, it's Memphis. I mean, they gotta do something. Mike Conley Jr., their face of the franchise, just got a big deal this past summer. Might have been summer.
Yeah, it was in free agency.
Okay. And he's stepped it up even more than what he has played in years past. And with that's the reason why I think you think that they could give Houston a run for their money. But Memphis is always that team in the West. They can give anybody a run for their money.
Yes, they are.
I mean, I remember a couple years ago they gave San Antonio. I think they took San Antonio to Game 6, and back then, Zach Randolph was really the only big name guy that was playing.
He was their big star, yeah.
Playing well. So with Conley Jr. now, I know he's been there, but with him playing as good as he is, Memphis could make a run and possibly go to the Western Conference Finals. So I wouldn't tear that out.
Yeah, they're definitely that team that can give any team a really fits, just the way they play the game. The Thunder are in 7th right now in the West, 31-25. And you look at it, 4 through 7 are just separated by 4 games. So I mean, this is a really tight race right now for positioning in the West.
Any of these spots could come down to one game. I mean, as you said last year, Houston got the 8th spot over Dallas and Utah because it came down the final game of the season. Yeah. So it could happen again this year. I mean, it's happened before. So I mean, history repeats itself all the time.
Yeah, but the Thunder in 7th. Russell Westbrook, of course, has to basically carry the team. He's doing that right now, and that's the reason why they're 6 games above 500 still. But the big problem right now, Enes Kanter breaking his arm in frustration during a game, kind of an unfortunate injury, kind of hurting because he was really, along with Oladipo, who they got on draft night that we already talked about, he was kind of the big scoring option other than Westbrook and obviously Oladipo, I feel like, especially down low. Because Steven Adams is playing great offensively this season, I have to say. He's not the guy focal point of the two. Enes Kanter definitely, he's on the second unit, comes in, puts in good contributions, can get you 20 and 10 a night if
that is good enough to help the team win, so be it.
Yeah. So him not being there is going to hurt them for a little bit. But the Thunder, I'm sure they'll probably make the playoffs. They're in good position right now to make the playoffs easily. Because then you move on to the 8th spot. They're 5 games under 500. They're 25-30. It's the Denver Nuggets, actually, who we just talked about, who would play the Warriors in the playoffs if it were today. Yeah. And they just beat them. Before
you get into the Nuggets, I know you picked Westbrook to win the MVP. Would you still have him win MVP at this moment?
Well, I was actually going to get into something like that here after we got through here.
Move on to the Nuggets then.
But then the Nuggets, right there, Nikola Jokic, I mentioned what he did against the Warriors, putting down a triple-double. He is coming into his own here in his second season. He'll be in that Rising Stars Challenge that we got coming up
Friday night.
On Friday night,
9:00 ESPN.
But he's been playing great.
Maybe NBA TV.
They're another team that has a bunch of great talent as well. They have like 3 guys in the Rising Stars Challenge actually, because they have Moutier and then Jamal Murray as well.
Yeah, Emmanuel Moutier. He's one hell of a player. I mean, he could be the face of the Nuggets for years to come, or if they could deal him and get something. I don't think they would, because they just got him. That was 2 years ago now. So Moutier, I mean, he played. He was going to go play at SMU, and he backed out and went and played in China for a year, and then came to the NBA. And I think that's helped him a lot, going to China, making some money, playing professional basketball, and then being drafted in the NBA. I think that's helped him a lot.
Yeah, and that 8th spot in the West is another one that's up for grabs a lot. Even take the last team in the West, which is the Suns right now. They're only 8 games out.
Yeah,
they're only 17 and however many losses.
What about Dallas? Do you know about Dallas?
Dallas, they've gotten better. They were actually terrible. They only had like 4 wins or something when we did it back in December.
Back in December. And
that's when they had like 20 games under the belt. They only had 4 wins.
Okay.
So they've gotten better. I think they're in the 10, 11, 12 spot, something like that.
Well, it's only halfway through the season. It's only All-Star break. So Dallas is another team just like Memphis. They have that one-star player with Dirk, who could possibly be retiring after this year. Could keep trucking along, but we'll have to see. But Dallas is a team just like Memphis that could make a run if they get hot late in the season.
Yeah,
you've seen it before. They've been to 2 finals. They played the Heat in both of them. They lost the one, and then they beat LeBron and company in the second one in 2011 with Dirk. So Mark Cuban knows how to run a team. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. All right. So then that's where we leave that for the playoff teams in both East and West conferences.
Yep.
So let's get into that discussion again. The MVP race. I picked Russell Westbrook at the beginning of the season. I would probably keep him there at the moment. It's definitely a tight race between him and Harden. But you look at Westbrook's stats, at least. He's got the stats to boast MVP status, averaging maybe still a triple-double. I don't know if it's gone down since.
Well, he's not playing second fiddle with KD anymore. KD decided to go out to Golden State. But, I mean, really, you go back and look at his numbers when KD was still there. He's still putting up.
Yeah. They're still doing stuff like this last year.
Yeah. So, that's what I'm trying to say. So, really, nothing's changed. And he's been overshadowed because of Kevin Durant, I think. But now with KD not even there, and going back to what you had said when we previewed the NBA season, I was really Westbrook, but after a couple months of thinking about it and seeing how he's played without him, there's no reason why he shouldn't win MVP.
James Harden is the reason, I would have to say, because James Harden, he's a guy that's, at least for a little bit there, was averaging a triple-double a game as well.
Yeah.
And putting up
if you
better,
remember, he played for the Thunder as well, and they dished him to Houston.
Yeah, they dished him. He was the 6th man in OKC. More of a scoring option then.
Hold on. I'll keep this going. Let's see. I'll get into what's going to happen this weekend. The celebrity game, 7 o'clock Friday night, ESPN. A couple people playing in it. It's always a fun game to watch, if you ask me, just because they're celebrities. You see them in the spotlight for saying they're actors, they're comedians, they're TV personalities, so on and so forth. You get to see them playing an NBA game. I know it's not an actual game; it's pretty much just a pickup game. But a couple notables playing in that game. Going back to Mark Cuban, he's the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. He's on Shark Tank. I watch Shark Tank. He's made some great deals with a lot of people on there. So go check out Shark Tank if you haven't. Shout out to them and ABC. What else? Andy Grammer, singer. He's going to be playing in that game. Peter Rosenberg. We'll be getting into wrestling here coming up shortly, right after we get done talking about the NBA here. He's a radio host up in New York City. You'll see him on the kickoff shows now on the WWE Network for some pay-per-views. He's a good guy. Him and Sam Roberts are real close friends. I watch the Sam Roberts Wrestling Podcast every now and then if he has a good person on that I want to listen to. Same thing with Rosenberg. And Rosenberg, he was actually on Holy Foley on the WWE Network, which you can watch for only $9.99 a month. But Peter Rosenberg, big wrestling fan, radio personality, so he's talked to a lot of great people on air. So Peter Rosenberg's playing in that game. By the way, the coaches for this game are Jamel Hill and Michael Smith, new host of The Six, as ESPN likes to call it, Sports Center's 6 o'clock Sports Center show. So they're the two coaches. One, they'll put them as the East and the West, but it really doesn't mean a whole lot because they're celebrities. It's not a. This game really doesn't mean anything, but it's still just fun to watch. Nick Cannon, also host of America's Got Talent. Mariah Carey has kids to her. They're obviously not together anymore. Mariah Carey, she needs to get something going with going back to her New Year's Eve celebration back up in Times Square. She's obviously lip syncing and everything went wrong and nobody could hear what the hell she was saying. So they were having technical difficulties. So those people are just a couple notables that are playing in the celebrity game, which is Friday night again on ESPN at 7 o'clock. And then 9 o'clock on Friday night, the Rising Stars Challenge between the best rookies and second-year players out of the East and the West. This game is also a lot of fun to watch because these guys are the future of the NBA. Joel Embiid just came back from injury, played for the Sixers. A lot of people were saying either him or Okafor needs to be traded. Philadelphia, you just need to stick to your guns, keep your players, and move on from there, and you'll start winning games. You keep drafting these players every single year, and they dish them 2 years after they've played for you. Nothing's going to work out. You look at the Spurs. You look at, let's say, the Lakers. With the Lakers, Kobe Bryant, he got drafted. Well, he played in Philly. He got drafted by the Bobcats, and then they traded him. What has Charlotte done since then? Nothing. Kobe retired after 20 years, but that's just an example. And with Tim Duncan, the Spurs drafted him. He stayed there his whole career, and he just retired as well after playing in the league for a number of years, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is, Philly, if you draft these guys, keep them. Don't trade them, because if you do, you're not going to build a franchise. You're just going to You're just going to stay in the shitter for years to come. And it's sad because Philadelphia, think of Philly, the city of brotherly love. Philly's a basketball town. It is. And it's a hockey town as well. But if you ask me, Corey's going to say it's more of a hockey town than it is basketball because he's a Flyers fan. But Philly, if you just keep your guys, build a franchise. Shout out to Derek Kernan again as well. He's a big Sixers fan. And I feel bad for him at sometimes just because he is a Sixers fan, but that's just my opinion. People who are watching, if you have any questions for me, and when Corey gets back, I don't know where he went, let us know in the comments below. Before I forget as well, and I'll get back into the Rising Stars Challenge and NBA's Saturday night. You got the dunk contest, which is my favorite part to watch, the three-point contest, and the skills challenge. And then Sunday you got the All-Star game. But I'll get back into Embiid and the Rising Stars Challenge here in a second. Question of the day today is, there's a college basketball game on tonight, ESPN, 9 o'clock, Virginia and Duke. I'm picking Duke. I'm a big Duke fan. Another shout out to Andy Brown as well. He's a big Duke fan as well. So hopefully Duke can go into Charlottesville, pick up a big win. Virginia, they just lost to Virginia Tech the other night in overtime by 2. If you remember, if you watch SportsCenter, or even if you watched the game on Sunday night, Virginia had a bucket, got stuck on the top of the rim. So it's a jump ball then, and Virginia Tech had possession. Game ended up going to overtime, and they lose by 2. So Virginia gets that bucket. The game's tied at that point, and then where's it going? They could possibly win. So let me take a drink here. I'm getting a little tired of talking. That's why he's here. But anyways, question of the day: Virginia and Duke tonight, ESPN, 9 o'clock. Like us on Facebook too. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram at ATGL16. Across the Goal Line on Facebook. Subscribe here on YouTube or over on YouTube if you're watching us on Facebook right now. Email us at acrossthegoalline2016@gmail.com. Any questions or concerns? I check that regularly. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, whatever you think, drop them in the comments below. Let us know through email. Tweet at us. I'll be sure to retweet your tweet, favorite, whatever the hell you want me to do. DM us if you want to, if people still do that. But yeah, those just common stuff that I like to say on here. What else? Yeah, so going back to the NBA All-Star Weekend, you got the Rising Stars Challenge Friday night. As I said, Joel Embiid, I talked about the Sixers there just a little bit ago. He's actually not going to be playing in this game now. He's been affected by injury ever since he came into the league, coming out of, I believe he played for Kansas in college, right before Andrew Wiggins, who plays for the Minnesota Timberwolves. We talked about the T-Wolves there a little bit ago. Shout out to Will Greer. I'm giving him a lot of shout outs today, so if you want me to give you a shout out, just let me know. I will. I don't really care. So shout out to everybody that's watching too. But anyways, Wiggins, Embiid, he goes back to Kansas. Bill Self, he's done a fabulous job with them, with the Jayhawks, going for, I believe, 14 straight Big 12 championships this upcoming Saturday when they play Baylor at 1 o'clock on CBS. Yeah, so, I mean, Embiid, he's not going to be playing. He's had the injury bug his whole career. I actually know somebody who met him. She is like half the size as me, and Embiid's like 7'2", so you should have saw the picture. It was ridiculous. She wasn't even up to his waist, I don't think. But anyways, Embiid playing in that. I don't know who else is going to be playing in this game. You'll just have to, because I really didn't research anything for that. I do like watching it, but I really don't want to research anything. I want to just turn it on and watch it and figure out, stuff from the announcers that are calling it. And I believe it's on ESPN at 9 o'clock. I know it's at 9. It might go on NBA TV. I know it's been on both in the past. So we'll have to see about that. And then moving on into Saturday, you got NBA Saturday night. But before NBA Saturday night, you got the Hall of Fame announcement at 11 o'clock in the morning. Last year, Yao Ming, Tom Izzo, Allen Iverson, he played for the Sixers. They really haven't been good since they had him either, and then they dished him out to Denver with Carmelo, and then Carmelo obviously plays for the Knicks now. But anyways, Iverson, Yao Ming just got his number retired by the Houston Rockets as well a couple weeks ago. Tom Izzo. Who else was in last year's class? I believe there's only like 3 big names, and those are the 3 big names that I can remember. The Hall of Fame announcement will be at 11 o'clock Saturday morning, so we'll have more about that next week because we're going to be reviewing NBA All-Star weekend next week on Across the Goal Line. Today's episode 45, so that would be episode 46 next week. In the meantime, go watch all our other videos. We've talked about the NBA before, as we said. We talked about it back in December, but that was right as the season started, pretty much. We really haven't talked about it since. That's why we're talking about it today. Really don't want to, do too much on every single sport, except for like football and wrestling, because those are our two main sports that we like to talk about that we both watch. I'll watch the NBA and hockey occasionally, and right now I'm watching a lot of college basketball since football season's over, and I'll watch a lot of hockey as well, but not as much as college basketball, because I played basketball growing up. I know the sport better. Now hockey, I played soccer growing up. Hockey is a lot like soccer, so I know what's going on there too. But I think college basketball, is more fun to watch than the NBA. I hate watching the NBA. So I mean, we're talking about it, but I really hate watching it. And then, so yeah, we really don't want to get into a whole lot about what happened. What happens week in and week out. Now, maybe down the line we will. Who knows? But anyways, NBA Saturday night, you got the skills challenge, you got the 3-point competition, and then you got the dunk contest. The skills challenge is always fun to watch. It's always the point guards, they're stars of the team, and they'll bring back legends. I remember a couple years ago, Steph Curry was in this with his father, Del Curry, and I believe it might have been Seth, his younger brother, as well, because they normally get a trio of players from either the same city or say like a family like that, and do that with the skills challenge. They'll have to throw the ball through what's it called? Well, it'll end with a half-court shot, I'll tell you that. But then they'll have to bounce the ball through a hoop, shoot it through a hoop, and then they'll have to make a 3-point shot too, a layup, and then they'll end with a half-court shot. And then, so that's pretty much a skills challenge. I don't know who's in that either. Maybe when Corey gets back, he might have some information on that. I really don't know, because again, I believe I've said it before. We know what we're going to talk about the week before for the following week, but we both do our own research, and then when we record, we just put it all together and go from there. And that's why sometimes our shows are really, really long, but sometimes, hell, if there's nothing going on, we're not going to have anything to talk about. But it's just common sense. But anyways, so that's the skills challenge. 3-point competition is always fun to watch as well. You'll have 5 racks set up, and this will be on TNT Saturday night, starting at 8 o'clock. You'll have 5 racks for the 3-point competition, 4 regular balls, and then you'll have a money ball. Now I don't know who's in this either. Corey might have that information. I don't know. If he doesn't, and you want to know who's in it after we get done recording, just go online and look it up. You can find anything online nowadays, pretty much. So, 3-point competition is always fun to watch, but the most fun part of NBA All-Star Weekend, I believe, other than the All-Star game, that the final score is probably going to be like 200 to 190. It's probably going to be like 160 to 150, but I was over exaggerating. But you get my point. There's no defense played in this game. But the dunk contest, 4 players are going to be in it. I do know this. Aaron Gordon's coming back because Zach LaVine decided not to because he's hurt. He tore his ACL. He blew his knee out. So Aaron Gordon's going to come back, possibly win it. Now, last year they were like co-champions. I remember watching it. Twitter was on fire at that point. These two were going back and forth. These dunks were awesome. Some of the best dunks I've seen in the dunk contest. Going into last year's dunk contest, the dunk contest had gone down a little bit, and now I think it's starting to pick back up. Now, I know you got Aaron Gordon coming back. DeAndre Jordan, I said a little bit ago, he's going to be in it. He's a star, and I think this might lead to a question, maybe a question of the week, if that's what we decide we're going to use. But if not, we're just going to use it as a regular-based question. Does the NBA need superstars and stars in the dunk contest? Now, it'd be better for it, but people are still going to watch it either way. So, I mean, it really doesn't mean a whole lot. But I think it'd be better. I think a lot more people would watch it if there were superstars in it, rather than say, what's his name, Derek Jones Jr. Hell, he plays in the D League. And this is going to be the first time ever that a D League player will be in the dunk contest, competing on NBA All-Star Weekend. The D League All-Star game will be Saturday before NBA All-Star Saturday night. That's probably going to be on NBA TV because no one's going to want to watch it. You know, the D League, they just announced the other day they're changing their name from the D League to the G League. Now, is it going to be a whole lot G-er? I don't know. But they changed the name from the D League to the G League because Gatorade is taken over as the main sponsor. So, and that's going to take effect next year, 2017-18. So, D League changes from G League. I'm trying to work my way around. Derek Jones Jr. first D League player to compete in the dunk contest. Go watch him on YouTube here, or over on YouTube if you're watching us on Facebook Live right now. And I've watched some of his videos. He has some great dunks. He could win this whole damn thing. He's not going to be my pick. My pick is going to be Aaron Gordon just because he's been in it before. He knows how much time he has to dunk, what the judges' scores are going to be like. Now, the other participants in it as well, other than Jones Jr. and DeAndre Jordan, is just Glenn Thompson III, or Glenn Robinson III, excuse me, not Glenn Thompson. He's a senator in Pennsylvania. But anyways, Aaron Gordon, he's been in it before. I think the big reason why he could possibly win it. And last year he should have won it. As I said, him and LaVine were co-champions because those two were just going back and forth, and the judges couldn't make up their mind. And anyways, so it just led to them, tying each other. But they should have just let them, keep dunking until the rim broke or the backboard broke or whatever. But you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so that's NBA All-Star Saturday night, and then you got the All-Star game on Sunday. It's actually the 66th All-Star game down in New Orleans, as we said a little bit ago at the start of the show. Excuse me. This game was actually supposed to be in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Charlotte Bobcats. Or the Charlotte Hornets now, excuse me. They were the Bobcats. They changed the Hornets. New Orleans, they were the Hornets. Now they're the Pelicans. So you can understand why I'm getting mixed up. Roles were reversed there. They changed their names and whatnot. But this game was supposed to be in Charlotte, but because of the LGBT laws or whatever the hell they're called. The lesbians, gays, bis, transgendered. Yeah, that's what it is. Charlotte and the NBA didn't. The state of North Carolina passed a law that stated, I believe, you can have those type of bathrooms, or you cannot. It was one of the two. I can't remember. Corey might know more about it. He was the one who brought it up. I had totally forgot about it. I just know that the game was moved from Charlotte to New Orleans back over the summer, and the NBA did a great job of finding another city to host it right away. Now, as we said, it's in New Orleans. So 66 NBA All-Star Game is this Saturday night. Is this Sunday night? It's going to be on TNT as well, 8 o'clock. As I said, the game, it's probably going to be high scoring. Nobody's going to play defense. I probably won't watch it. I'll probably play Xbox or PlayStation. Rather than watching that, because I hate watching the NBA, as I said, because nobody plays defense during the regular season or the playoffs. Now no one's going to be playing defense. Hell, in the All-Star game. So why watch it? And Corey's back now. I hear him coming into the room. I'm just telling folks about where we left off. Yeah, and probably a little too much. But I had to keep it rolling. I just couldn't sit here and stare at people and look nothing. I could have ended it, but I talked about. We left off with the MVP. I talked about the Celebrity Game, the Rising Stars Challenge, and the Skills Challenge, all the stuff on NBA Saturday night. But I didn't get into the lineups for the All-Star Game yet, because I know you said you had those and you wanted to talk about them. So let's just move on from there.
All right, and that's all we have left then.
Yeah.
Really. The All-Star Game starting lineups out of the East in no particular order, because I wrote down the ones I knew first and then looked them up afterward. LeBron and Kyrie are on there. Giannis Antetokounmpo from the Bucks.
Great player.
Jimmy Butler from the Bulls.
Jim Butler.
And DeMar DeRozan out of Toronto.
So, yeah, I forgot about DeRozan up in Toronto, going back to them. They do have him as well. So they do have like a big three up there in Toronto now, with him, Lillard, Lowry. See, I told you, I get Lillard and Lowry mixed up. It's probably because of the L. And now with Ibaka. So, yeah, Toronto does a big three. They could make a run.
Yeah, and then out of the West, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, James Harden, and then Anthony Davis, who plays for New Orleans, of course.
Yeah, the host city, as I was talking about right before he walked in. The game was in Charlotte, and then it got moved.
We talked about that.
Yeah, it got moved to New Orleans because of that law. So yeah, as he said, we already talked about it. I had to try to keep things rolling here rather than ending it. Try to give our listeners the best sports radio podcast, broadcast, whatever the hell you want to call it, out there. So with that, I don't think we have anything else to say. We didn't come up with a question. Unless for the week. We did talk about basketball all day. And recently, I'll go with this. Recently, UConn, they won 100 straight games. Question of the week, I'll say, is it better, or do people, is it better to win a number of games straight, like UConn did at 100, or is it better to win a championship? Because what do people remember more? Do people remember that win streak more, or do people remember you winning championships?
Now, they've won 100 straight games. That includes like 4 championships in a row, though.
I know, but there's. I really don't know what else to think for a question. Unless you could think of something.
No.
O.J. Simpson might be getting out of prison. We'll go with O.J. Should O.J. Simpson get out of prison? He's been in prison for the past 8 years because of a robbery. He tried to get all his memorabilia back, but really, why he's in prison is because of the murder of his wife back in 1993. And they finally got him 15 years later. So we'll go with OJ. Should OJ Simpson get out of prison? And with that, I'm Luke Goddard. He's Corey Maines. Follow both of us on Twitter at CoyandLuke96, CAMaines14. Follow Across the Goal Line on Twitter and Instagram at ATGL16. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe over on YouTube. We're here on YouTube. Wherever you're at. Links are floating around there somewhere, as you like to say. So with that, we'll see you next week. But stay tuned. We're going to be talking about WWE Elimination Chamber, what happened there this past Sunday out in Phoenix, Arizona. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.